everybody, welcome back to Movies Net. I'm your host Cody, and today we are going to talk about Scream 7. So, Scream 7 released last week, opening night on Thursday night, and had a very, very good opening weekend at the box office. It broke all the Scream opening weekend records, and is going to be on track to be the highest grossing Scream film of all time, which honestly is no surprise with all the hype around it the past couple of years after Scream 6 and of course the whole boycott push and all that. But really the driver, in my opinion, was two main things, with the main one being the return of Sidney Neve Campbell, because she was absent in Scream 6, and also with the rumors of Stu Macher, Matthew Lillard, coming back. So, well, they weren't rumors. I mean, we knew Matthew Lillard was going to be in the movie, but we didn't know what the role he was actually going to have, whether it's going to be real Stu, AI Stu, voiceover Stu, something along those lines. But, yeah, so this review here, it's going to be a spoiler review. I think it's enough time has passed since the movie came out, so we can go ahead and dive into everything for the most part. Now, I'm not going to go, scene by scene or, chronologically through the whole entire movie. I might skip around here and discuss some things that I didn't like, things that I'm mixed on, some of the controversial points in this movie. But anyways, let's just start off with the opening kill, because that's always a huge thing in Scream movies, what the opening kill is going to be. So I think this one is one of the better ones, in my opinion. If I had to rank the opening kills, of course, Scream, the first Scream, Scream 1, is going to be at the top of that. I do like Scream 2's opening kill. Scream 3, I don't know if I'd put that at 3. I would have to say, honestly, as much as I don't like Scream 6, I think Scream 6 opening kill would have to be my number 3 in that point. But I think Scream 7 would come right after Scream 6 here. So I'd put that at number 4. So with Scream 7's opening kill, it's this couple. They are doing a vacation home type experience at the Macher residence. So the Macher residence has now been, sold to something like a Airbnb or Vrbo, something along those lines, but it's more as an experience type rental. So you're not just staying there to stay there, you're staying there to experience, well, not necessarily experience, but to show what happened in Scream 1 and Scream 5, the events that happened there with the the body outlines of where everybody in that house has died in both Scream 1 and Scream 5. You have an animatronic Ghostface standing in the corner, which gives us a kind of a nice jump scare there. But anyways, this couple goes in, and I believe it's the boyfriend or husband, one of the two. He's all into it. Girlfriend or wife, she's not necessarily into it, just kind of going along to make him happy, right? Support his, fandom, I guess, into the Ghostface and Stab movies. So they go in there. He's kind of messing around with her in a sense, trying to scare her, things like that. Then all of a sudden, things kind of ramp up. Now, we don't actually see this happening, but we do see, I guess, you see Ghostface in the background from the kind of like a Michael Myers in the shadows type of thing. See, that's when we first see the actual Ghostface. Then some things happen, right? And the animatronic Ghostface has somehow been swapped out or replaced with the actual Ghostface, who goes ahead and kills the boyfriend or the husband, whatever it may be, and then chases the girl around the house, up the stairs. She manages to get the better of him, but ends up screwing up the process, slips over the balcony and is hanging on the chandelier for dear life. She falls down. Ghostface turns up, impales her with a knife as she comes down, and then she's still alive, but while she's still alive, Ghostface gets up, going ahead and spreading all the gasoline around, lights the Mocker house on fire, it burns down, and that's our opening kill. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. It's definitely different. It's not Looney Toony or dumb like the Scream 4 one was. And honestly, I didn't really like the Scream 5 opening kill now that I think about it. But yeah, I did enjoy this one. But then that's when we go ahead and transition to the opening with Isabel May, Sidney's daughter, Tatum. Kind of like a callback to how Sidney was in her room at night, right, just hanging out there. And her boyfriend, Tatum's boyfriend, comes through the window just like Billy Loomis does to Sidney. So it's kind of like that parallel, right? Nostalgia is a huge thing in this movie, so we keep on seeing that throughout. But it starts off like that. Sidney catches her, catches him as well, kicks her boyfriend out. And then next morning, Tatum puts on Sidney's Scream 2 jacket, her jacket she wore at college, which again, it's like nostalgia. Didn't really think that was necessary, but whatever, it's fine, it's cool. And then we get introduced to her group of friends. So this is kind of where I have a little bit of mixed on this, because once we get introduced to Tatum's friends, this movie just really just starts pressing on the gas pedal. I mean, it really starts going full force. And we are only with her friends for, God, before they get killed, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. Maybe 15, actually, because they go to school and, like, there's this whole play recital that they're doing, practicing for a school play. And so, like, we get not even, like, a full school day with these people. Like, a full day, full night, because there's this talk about a party going on at, I forget her name in the movie, but McKenna Grace's character, like, she's talking about this party and all this stuff. And it's like, you're expecting, like, that's exactly, that's where the movie's going to end up going. Well, no. Ghostface comes, kills McKenna Grace, kills some other people at the school, and shit hits the fan then. So it's really quick that we get introduced to Tatum's friends, and then they're gone. Well, some of them, put it that way. But before that, Sidney is at her coffee shop that she owns and operates, and she's talking with her neighbor there. And while she goes back into her office to do some work-related things, and she gets a call, Ghostface voice. She thinks it's a joke, it's a prank. Then all of a sudden, another call comes through, and that's when we get introduced to Stu for the first time since the first one. And it's like, is this real Stu? Is this AI Stu? But he's like, hey, I'm outside of your daughter's school, and I'm going to get her, right? So she calls her husband. Her husband's Mark, Tatum's dad, is the chief of police there at the town. So she calls him. All the police rush to the school. Too late, though. Kill's already happened. And then we have like this quick interrogation scene with everyone sitting, which is weird, in the auditorium, right, of where the crime scene just happened. But everyone's sitting in there, and they're like questioning each other. Everyone's a suspect. Where were you? Where were you? Things like that. So, yeah. And then it's just like after that, too, it's like, again, foot on the gas pedal for this movie, which part of me doesn't mind. Really, part of me does not mind that. Because some of these movies can get dragged out. They can get dragged out for too long. They can become boring. You have like a lot of filler in there. So we do get, a lot of things happening, a lot of movement, a lot of different, things going on. So anyway, curfew happens. People are locked down. Go in the house, back to Sydney's house. Everybody's in there, and then here's Ghostface. He is in the house with Tatum, with Sydney, with Mark, and fight happens, and they go into like this panic room or whatever Sydney and Tatum do, which is cool. But here's another thing. They go in this panic room. They're like, okay, we got to escape the house. There's no way that Ghostface could have gotten into that panic room. So it's kind of like the scene where in Scream 6 with Gail, and she goes into her, I guess, like panic room or whatever, and it's like he could have just stayed in there, right? He wasn't going to come in there, but she goes out, she shoots through the door or whatever, thinking that she might have got him, and then, she gets attacked and whatnot. But like, when I saw him going through the wall, like it's a cool scene. It's, cool how it's shot, but like, at the same time, like they would have been perfectly fine there. They wouldn't have had to leave, but is what it is. So they leave, and Ghostface is stabbing through the wall because they're trying to get out through this little escape passage in the wall, stabbing through the wall. They manage to get out of the house, and Mark then comes out of nowhere, tackles Ghostface. They fight in the yard. Ghostface gets up, and then, complete like Looney Tunes style, he goes into the middle of the street, and here comes Gail and the twins, right? Chad and Mindy, hit them with the car. Just run him over, smack him with the car. And like, it was cool, it was funny. Everybody was thrilled when Gail got out of the car, right? And but it's like, I don't know. I feel like you didn't have to do it that way, I guess. And also it like raised questions like, how did Gail get there that fast? How did they get there that quick? And I guess they had the whole day to drive to the town. So, but anyways, yeah. So now we know, of course, the movie's not going to end like this. There's going to be multiple ghost faces at this point, which we end up finding out that there are multiple ghost faces because the Stu calls keep on happening. So we keep thinking that Stu is alive, but you never know. This could be AI. So that's kind of what you're going back and forth with, whether this is a real Stu or an AI Stu. So anyways, they decide to. Well, they find out the identity of the first Ghostface killer. Found out he's at the psychiatric hospital. So Gail and Sydney go to the psychiatric hospital, and they talk to, I guess, the lead guy there who knew the guy the original Ghostface, Carl. And then they show him the picture of Stu, and they're like, oh, yeah, I knew him. He actually was next door to Carl. They were best buds, and all we knew him was John Doe because he didn't know his name. Nobody knew who he was. He was the drifter dude. And that's when you start, like, when I first heard that, like, I kind of got hopeful. I was like, oh, wow, they're actually going to do it this way. I'm like, let's see how that pays off. But then I start thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't think, like, that just sounds like, again, too convenient, too easy. Like, that's a very cheap way to give the fans, or the Stu Lives people, exactly what they want that quick. Something I'm like, I don't know. Anyways, fast forward, they go back to town. Still a curfew. Tatum and the rest of her friends go to, I forget the name of her, but they go to one of her friends', I guess, family bars and restaurants, and they're in the restaurant, and the Ghostface killers show up there. But before that, actually, let me back up, because before that, Mindy kind of is like doing her whole roles thing and like, kind of figuring out like who the suspects are. Like, everyone's a suspect. The creepy kid's a suspect, boyfriend's a suspect. Kind of putting their wagers down on who it is. And then shit starts hitting the fan, right? Ghostface starts killing people, or killing the friends in there, and we get that awesome kill with the neighbor kid, or the creepy kid, getting lifted up onto the draft tap, and the draft starts coming out of his mouth. So that was pretty cool, but really tense scene there. Um, and then Tatum and her boyfriend get in the car. Tatum sees his laptop, and it shows Stu, AI Stu, and him in there. And she thinks right away, rightfully so, that her boyfriend is actually one of the killers. So she fucks him up real quick. She leaves. She runs. She's getting chased by a ghost face. Sydney knows this because Tatum and her talk, and Sydney immediately runs to try to save Tatum. Then we get to Tatum hiding in, well, actually before this, her boyfriend catches up to him, or catches up to her, and the boyfriend ends up getting killed right away. Like, he runs up to her, they're, hugging, whatever, like, hey, it's not me. And she's like, I know. And they're about to try to escape, but then all of a sudden, here comes Ghostface, kills him. She runs off into the coffee shop, hides in there, and somehow, actually, no, it's because the neighbor was the Ghostface in this, because somehow the Ghostface opens up the door, because the door is locked by a code, and she opens it up. She gets in there. Well, Tatum locks herself in Sydney's office there. Sydney is on the phone with her saying, hey, there is a gun in the office. Okay, this is how you work it. This is what you need to do. She's coaching her, tells her exactly when to shoot through the wall. Shoots. Ghostface goes down, but as we know, and likely he has, or she has in this case, a bulletproof vest on. So Sydney's like, you gotta shoot him in the head. She goes out, doesn't shoot him in the head, and then Ghostface pops back up, tries to take her down again, and then the other Ghostface shows up. That's when they capture her, and then we eventually end up getting back to Sydney's house. Stu shows up again. AI saying, hey, we're going to go back to, forget what the word they use, but anyway, go back home. So Sydney goes in there, and there's TVs, there's computers all over the place showing like AI Stu, AI Roman, Mrs. Loomis, Dewey even. So all these people from Sydney's past, and then we go out and we see Tatum tied up, and this is when it starts getting, in my opinion, kind of dumb. This was the worst part of the movie for me. I was pretty invested up to this point, and then we get the reveal. We get the psychiatric guy as one of the killers. We get Sydney's neighbor as one of the killers, and it's like, of course, we were all hoping for Stu. We were all hoping for somebody else, but like these two, I don't know. I guess they had to do something different, but I feel like, I don't know. It's just such a weird reveal, such a weird choice of characters to be the killer. But anyways, they end up dragging Mark out because earlier in the movie, Mark got stabbed up pretty good. And that's like kind of another thing. We always get that one in these Scream movies where these characters get stabbed up really pretty bad and they end up surviving. Mark's one of these. He ends up like sneaking a knife and cutting Tatum's feet loose. And Sydney is going back and forth with her neighbor, and her neighbor's saying like how crazy she was. She killed her husband and all this stuff. And this, she is obsessed with Sydney, and she wants to reset everything and create a new survivor story for Sydney and her and Tatum and all this stuff. And it's like, why? Anyways, Tatum breaks free. Sydney had a gun in her back waistband. She pulls it out. She kills the psychiatric dude. Then the neighbor, Sydney and Tatum, they're running through the garage. And finally, Sydney and Tatum get the upper hand, and they both shoot her in the face like 20 times. And that's the movie. So, yeah, I mean, look, I had a really good time with it. To be honest, I mean, all the way up until the reveal, it's kind of like Scream 6. I liked it all the way up until the final act for the most part. But even this, I liked it all the way up to the final act. It was just the reveal. And the reveal went really quick, unlike Scream 6. After the reveal, there was like another 10, 15 minutes of the movie. This concludes pretty quick after the reveal, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, with that being said, I still like this better than Scream 5 and 6 because it's kind of in a sense, a more. Most of the movie was a more grounded and return to form, like the original two, in my opinion. It was pretty simplistic, and the whole AI stuff was pretty cool. You know, kind of keeping you on your toes, whether Stu's back or Stu's not back, and at least just seeing Matthew Lillard back as Stu Macher was pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, it was the kills were pretty gruesome. I mean, Ghostface, all three of them were really brutal, those whole scenes were pretty intense to watch. So overall, I like the movie. I'm gonna definitely put this, I think, is my number 4 in my ranking, and I'm gonna do a ranking as well. So that's it, everybody. That is my Scream 7 review. If you like this, give me a like, comment down below your thoughts, and please share the video and subscribe for more. Thank you very much.